Welcome back. Again, I'm Tim, the lab technician, and we're going to discuss now, we're taking the copper tubing that you cut in the earlier exercises. We're going to now learn how to flare. Flare is used in conjunction with refrigeration. A lot of units need flares. The copper tubing, if it's flared correctly, will do a solid job and will not leak. It's, again, goes back to our original cutting and reaming exercise. Now we're going to find out if what we did came out correctly. If we cut it properly, we'll show you the outcome and how it should be looking. So what you'll need now is, again, your tools, your copper tubing, and now the blue box, which is your flaring and swedging kit. Now these are all pre-set up. They have different fittings on them. This yoke, as you notice, has a head on it that twists freely. All right. Now, sometimes the little C-clip breaks off. Just let us know and we'll fix that for you. But as you notice inside the box here, you have the yoke and then you have the two holding tools. The first thing we want to do is we want to get our head set up for flaring. The flaring is this 45-degree angle head. Again, this is for flaring purposes only. You set it in to the tool so that you can just gradually screw it on. It should not take any pliers, any sort of tools, and it should snug right up there. You don't have to tighten it down or anything. Just snug it up and it should be sufficient. Set that off to the side and pull out one of your holding legs here. Now, you'll notice on top it'll have the size of copper tubing. Also, if you'll notice when you looked at this, there is a ridge or a beveled end on some of these. And then you notice, like up here at the 5/8, it's beveled and all the way down, but the 1/2 inch is not. And the reason being is because when you have that, you can't do the flare on that end. You have to flip it over, and it's located on the other side. Now, this becomes crucial because you're going to notice that you're not going to be able to lock the yoke into the 1/2 inch. Okay, it won't work. So that's why you have to flip it over, and then it has the capability of locking in. And the only way that you're really going to learn this is to have hands-on. What this is to show you how and what you should be able to do when you get to that capability. Now, one thing that you want to be sure of is that the threads inside on both sides are clean. If they are not, take your wire brush and just rotate it in and around there, and it'll come right out. All right? If for some reason the threads are ruined, then we need to know that. Because remember, soft copper is just that. It's soft, and as you apply pressure, it's going to tighten down, and sometimes if you don't have it firmly tight, it'll slide down through the seams, the threads, and it will cause the copper to break off and fill those threads. And then once those threads get filled, it will just keep sliding back and forth and it won't tighten down. Now, once you have your copper tubing in your holder, what you want to do is you want to look at this so that the head or the top of your copper tubing when you're flaring is just slightly above the base of the tool. All right? And again, you're going to have to learn this by hand doing it because every size is a little different. The book sometimes will tell you 3 times the thickness of your flange. Well, that doesn't always work out. But what I've learned over time is about a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch above the flat surface, more closer closer to 1/16 of an inch. Now what you want to do is you want to finger tight, once you have it in the vise, you want to finger tighten down the clamps. Now do not, and I repeat, do not put this in a vise, use a pair of locking pliers or anything else to tighten this down. These do snap, they're just cold, soft cold steel, and it will snap off real easy. Now, what you want to do is you want to take a little bit of oil and dab it onto your fitting. Now, the purpose of this is that it breaks down the heat resistance, all right? Now, you take your yoke and be sure that you're fully extended backwards. Take your yoke, drop it over so that the two slots line up on the edge, and you lock it into place, all right? Now, as you tighten this down, you'll center it onto the copper tubing. Now, once that's firmed up, now you're ready to turn it. Now, a lot of mistakes are made in this area. What students do, they try to force this. And what you want to do is you want to keep it steady on one hand and turn with the other. All right? Again, hold it steady and turn with the other hand. All right? Hold it steady and turn it. Now, you'll notice that the head is starting to flare it out. All right? Once you bottom sink it, all right, or countersink it as far as it will go. Now, you don't have to use a great deal of strength on this or pressure. Just snug it up. Once that's snugged up, back off. Back it off all the way and then dismount the yoke. Now, as you see, what you have here is a flared job, okay? And the things that you're looking for is, if you look in here, there is no ridges on this. It's not cracked, and it's nice and smooth. Anything that will not be nice and smooth is not acceptable. Now, the final test is that we take it out of its yoke, or out of its holding area, and over here on the table we have the 3 sizes of fittings. They're on chains, they're not going anywhere, and what we want you to do is we want to slide it into the fitting, bring it down, and we want to check to be sure that it's nice and tight. All right? Now, that is the minimum. All right? If you get it where it's just barely touching the threads, that's even better. All right? Now, once that's down in there, the male end that goes into this coupling, all right, or nut, is going to, the flared end will make a nice tight fitting on that, and it will not leak. All right? Now, if you succeed at that, then show the instructor or lab tech, we'll check it, and then you can move on to the next size. All right? Now, if for some reason the flare wasn't big enough, you can put it back into your holding device, raise it up a little bit, and redo the exercise. It will squish it down a little more. If for some reason it's too big, well then the only option you have is to cut off the head. Now, the way to go about doing that is to get a hold of your cutter again. Now, looking at your cutter, you see that there's the slots in the rollers. In that slot goes the head of your flare. Then, again, tighten it down and redo what you did in the previous exercises. Put a little bit of pressure, rotate it, and cut it off until such time as the head comes off. Now, you're going to have to try to firmly hold on to the copper tubing because it has a tendency of rotating. But then you're back at square one. Again, you pick up the reamer, tilt your copper tubing, insert your reamer, rotate lightly, 360 degrees, several times over until you feel that you've extracted the little cutting edge around it. Once you feel that is done, then put it back into your vise, put your yoke back down, and try it again. All right? Hopefully, you'll do this without too much problems. But again, this is very important to be accomplished correctly to be sure that you don't have leaks on your system.